Hey y'all, hi. In today's video, I'm just going to be reviewing a bunch of skincare products at a bunch of different price points. I'm going to give you first the context for the review, where all of this skincare came from and why I'm reviewing it now. And then I'm going to talk about my skin needs and my current skincare routine and what I'm looking for in a skincare product. And then I'm just going to go through the skincare products one by one and review them, line them up and knock them out. It's kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly situation. There's a lot of information and a lot of really interesting skincare, and I'm excited to discuss it with you. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. I'm glad you're here. My name is Hannah. I love beauty. I really enjoy makeup, but when it comes to makeup, I prefer like a natural skin look rather than the look of skin that has a lot of makeup on it, especially base makeup. But I have dealt with redness and acne for my entire adult life, acne on and off, and redness pretty consistently. So I take skincare pretty seriously. Also, as much as I love beauty, I try to stay grounded in reality on my channel because I don't want to promote overspending. If all of that sounds good to you, and if you enjoy this while you're watching, I hope you'll subscribe. And now, let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. So starting with context, in 2018, I did a no-buy year. I stopped buying makeup, skincare, clothing, and homewares for the entire year. And it was really interesting to see how my skincare routine and my experience of using skincare changed over the course of that year. I actually have a whole video, how my no-buy year changed my skincare routine. There's a lot of good information in it. It's from the end of 2018, so it's pretty crunchy compared to what you see before you today, but I'll link it below in case what I just said has really piqued your interest and you haven't seen that video yet. The short story is that during my no-buy year, I had a replacements only policy for skincare. So I was allowed to buy, for example, a cleanser if I had used up every single cleanser that I had and I had nothing with which to cleanse my face. So I was replacing key skincare items over the course of that year, but I wasn't going out and buying things just to try them or because I thought they might be better than what I already had. I wasn't allowed to do that because of the rules of my no-buy. And essentially, after my no-buy year was over, I continued with the replacements only policy. Going a year without shopping really changed my way of thinking about buying skincare. And since my no-buy year, it hasn't made sense to me to buy a cleanser if I have one at home that works. Even if I think the other one might be slightly better, I've almost always used up everything that I have in a certain category before considering buying a new one. Unlike makeup, skincare is utilitarian to me, so a replacements only model makes total sense, and I still feel like that is the best fit for me as a consumer. And I've essentially been behaving that way as a consumer for the past 3 years since my no-buy year, even though I'm not just a consumer when it comes to beauty, I'm also a reviewer. So I have rarely bought skincare. Really, since the beginning of my YouTube channel, especially compared to how I used to behave before my no-buy year, I've rarely bought skincare, and I actually feel like I buy a lot less skincare than most beauty YouTubers do. That's partly because of, again, my replacements only mindset when it comes to skincare, but it's also because I receive some skincare for free from brands to test. So that means that if I have a replacements only mentality and I have skincare coming in that I'm not buying, and I'm not going out and buying my own until it's all used up, that means that months and months have been going by, and actually for some skincare categories, months that have turned into years have gone by, and I haven't run out. Lately, however, I've been splashing out a little bit. And this is partly, maybe even largely, because I've realized that if I don't buy my own skincare, even when I have some things that could work in certain categories, if I don't break out of my replacements only rule for myself, then literally all of the skincare that I'm using is PR. Free stuff that brands sent to me. This means that brands are controlling what I showcase, and I don't want that. And frankly, I also don't want to lose touch with what it's like to pay for my own skincare. I feel like as a reviewer, it's important to try to keep in touch with that, even as I also review some products that were free to me. So over the past couple of months, I've bought some skincare. I've spent a little bit of my channel's budget for self-sponsored review on skincare, but I've also spent some of my own money on skincare that I wanted. But I've also been splashing out when it comes to time. I've been spending more time applying skincare rather than rushing through it, putting on more layers, letting the layers sink in before I apply more layers on top. My skin was getting really dry, and so I made a change because I started buying a couple products and trying new products, but the most important change that I made was to spend more time applying products and to just relax around it and not rush. And I'm saying that here right at the beginning of this video in case you're on a no-buy or a budget, and when you see me talking about all these products, it might stir up feelings in you like, oh, I need to get those, like my skincare is not working, I need to try those products. It might be that you're on the hunt for an additional product or two, and maybe I can provide some suggestions to you, which would be great. But if your routine has flagged a bit, if you're rushing through and you're not really babying your skin, you'll see the biggest change in your skin simply from spending more time with the products that you already own. For me, spending more time with my skin, dedicating more time to my skincare routine, that's been a mix of old and new products, and it's been a mix of PR products and products that I bought myself. And the time that I've spent on using them has meant that I've gotten to know a bunch of new skincare products, and that is what has allowed me to bring this video to you. It's quite a roundup. I'm a little bit daunted. I'm looking at them laid out before me and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to organize my thoughts because otherwise we'll be here for 2 hours. And I will specify, of course, as I go through which of these products I bought myself and which of them were sent to me by brands. Let's talk about my routine. I have a pretty simplified skincare routine in spite of the fact that I've been trying all of these new products. And at the heart of that routine is my custom serum from Curology, which contains tretinoin. Tretinoin is a retinoid. It's a very powerful anti-acne and anti-aging ingredient, and it's an active that sensitizes the skin. It has worked really, really well for me addressing my main skin concerns. I've been using Curology for exactly a year, pretty much at this point. I think I started it in January of last year, and it's worked better than anything else. And it's also simplified my routine dramatically because the sensitization of my skin because of the retinoid has meant that I haven't wanted to use other actives. So AHAs, BHAs, even vitamin C I've been staying away from. A lot of the ingredients that I used to kind of like balance and fit together like puzzle pieces into my old routine have been just pushed off the table completely. I have other videos about Curology. I think I have 3, and I will link them all down below. If you're curious about my experience with this, definitely click through and watch those because they're much more extensive than this video is going to be when it comes to tretinoin and when it comes to the experience with the Curology service. So the routine that supports the custom Curology formula for me has been just cleansing and moisturizing. And the simplest form of my skincare routine is this. At night, I first cleanse with an oil or balm cleanser to break up and remove my makeup and my SPF. Then I go in with a second cleanser, which is something a little bit soapier, but also kind of gentle to remove all of that residue. After I wash my face, I apply the Curology formula directly to my skin, and after that, I apply some kind of moisturizer. In the morning, I get up and I just rinse my face with water. I don't re-cleanse it with anything. I just use water to emulsify whatever was on my skin overnight and rinse it away. Then I apply some kind of moisturizer and a sunscreen. Again, my concerns are redness, dryness. I'm almost 37 years old and I have very dry skin and acne-prone skin. And because I'm almost 37 years old, I'm definitely starting to develop some fine lines and wrinkles, a little bit of a loss of elasticity. So that's also one of my concerns. And until we got into kind of the winter this year, that very simplified routine was enough. I wasn't using very many products and I didn't have very many steps. But as I've indicated, as we we got into the winter, I started babying my skin, spending more time with it, and that has mostly involved, almost exclusively involved, layering more moisturizers and different forms of moisturizing and hydrating instead of just going with one moisturizing product at night and then one in the morning. It started to feel like one cream at night and like one oil in the morning just wasn't enough. My skin was dry all the time. So I started basically moisturizing in multiple ways and layering moisturizers on top of each other. Consequently, a lot of the products in this video are different kinds of moisturizers and hydrators. I also started masking a little bit. I haven't been a huge fan of masking since my no-buy-year. If you've seen that video about how my no-buy-year changed my skincare routine, you will already know that. But again, the depths of winter and the dryness of my skin drove me to it, and I do think that it has been helping a little bit. So there are some moisturizing masks in this video too. I believe that is all of the background information. I'm gonna start going through the products. Then at the end, what I'll do is I'll kind of let you know what I've settled on as the best combination for me at this moment in time of these products. Some of them are ones that I found myself reaching for over and over again. Some of them I've experimented with, but they haven't really stuck around. I think I want to go in routine order. Like I'm going to go category by category, starting with cleansers. So these are the first cleansers, the oil cleansers or balm cleansers that are in my shower right now. I usually shower at night and I usually wash my face in the shower. I've heard that it's not good to your skin because the water is usually pretty hot, but it's just one habit that I can't kick. I love washing my face in the shower and sorry, not sorry, that's what I do. I've been using this one from Elemis. This was PR. Elemis has sent me a number of products and I also did a sponsored mention for them. So that's how I came by this product, but I really love it. This is the Rose Cleansing Balm. I actually prefer the original cleansing balm to the Rose one. I do like the rose scent of this, but it feels like it doesn't wash off quite as cleanly as the original one, and I like the scent actually of the original one better. I said when I talked about Elemis last that even though it's kind of a pricey product, I like this enough to buy it myself, especially with my simplified routine. And I actually ran out of this. This is an empty. And I went ahead and bought it. I noticed I was looking at Skin Store because they sent me a code recently. I think I was just on Skin Store linking one of the products that they sent me. That's actually going to be in this video later. And I saw that there is a 3-pack of half sizes, like travel sizes of this cleansing balm that was like a holiday kit, and then it was on sale after the holidays, and I bought it for myself. Again, this isn't something that I've been doing very much lately, but I knew that I was about to run out of my backup balm cleanser. This is the other one that I have in the shower, the one from e.l.f. It's the Holy Hydration Makeup Melting Cleansing Balm. It's a serviceable and very pleasant, pretty cosmetically elegant, drugstore priced cleansing balm, and I quite like it. Looking back though, over the course of all of the oil cleansers and balm cleansers that I've ever tried in my life, these two really do stand out. They're two of my favorites that I've ever tried, and absent this one, I would happily repurchase this one actually. Brief note about texture as well. The Elemis cleansing balm, it's kind of like a raw set honey, a bit goopy and definitely soft. It doesn't have that sort of hard surface that you break through with your finger. I really like the texture of this. It's one of the other things that I like about it. The e.l.f. one is more of that kind of like solid oil feeling. It feels a little bit hard, you break through, it can come out in sort of a soft chunk. I find it actually hard not to use too much of cleansing balms that have that texture. I'm doing my best with this one, but I'm going through it pretty fast. It also smells like apricots, and when it comes to fruit scents for makeup and skincare, apricot is my favorite. So that's another thing that I like about this. The second cleansers that I currently have in my shower are these, the Elemis Superfood Facial Wash and the Kale and Green Tea Superfood Cleanser from Youth to the People. This again was sent to me by Elemis, and this was given to me as a gift by my friend Becca, and I believe she received it in PR from Youth to the People. She also has a YouTube channel, Becca Sun, B-E-K-A-H Sun. Strongly recommend checking her out. I like both of these. I basically use them interchangeably. I'll kind of use one night and one the next night. The Elemis one, it's more of like a slippy gel-like softening, almost slightly oily gel feel. It feels extremely nourishing. This one feels a little bit more like what you would expect from a clear gel, like a little bit more foaming, just a little bit more stripping. Not to say that it's stripping as a cleanser, but it just does a little bit more of what you think of soap as doing. When I use this one, my skin feels really soft afterwards, especially when I use the Elemis Cleansing Balm and then this. It's like a killer duo. And this one feels just a little bit more deeply cleansing and also very pleasant and nourishing. I don't think I have a favorite between the two. I feel really lucky to be using both of these luxe cleansers at the same time. And then there are these two products in my shower, which I use occasionally, like not every single day. They're kind of treatment cleansers or treatment type products that fit into the routine at the cleansing stage. And they both happen to be from DermaE, which is a really great affordable skincare brand. I have tried a lot of DermaE products, just like products from every position in one's routine from DermaE, and almost across the board, they've blown me away, especially when it comes to quality for what you're paying. And I've talked about both of these before on my channel, but they're definitely part of my current routine. And I feel like both of them have helped me achieve my aims of getting my dry and kind of flaky winter skin to become softer and plumper over the last couple of months. This is the Microdermabrasion Scrub, and this is fantastic for dry skin that is starting to flake and peel on the very surface. I'm a little bit tentative about microdermabrasion or about physical exfoliation when my skin is dry because you can definitely overdo it. This one works for me for two reasons. One, I don't use it very often. I would say I use it maybe once every 1.5 or 2 weeks, maybe once every 10 days, every like 8 to 10 days. I tend to use it when I'm going to be masking with a hydrating mask. This might actually be a third reason. This wasn't the second reason that I had in mind. I'll get to that in a second. I also think one of the reasons that I don't go overboard with this and it doesn't dry out my skin from too much physical exfoliation is that I'll use it and then immediately I'll put like a really moisturizing or hydrating mask on my skin or a sheet mask. I feel like that's the best way to take advantage of physical exfoliation for me because it's like I've removed any peely bits or dead skin that's on the surface of my face. And as soon as I've stripped all of that away and my skin is as bare as it can get, I'm immediately protecting it and packing moisture into it, kind of like taking advantage of the fact that it's been stripped of anything that was lingering on the surface to moisturize it as deeply as possible. The third thing that is making this work for me is that there is some really moisturizing stuff mixed in among the exfoliating grains. So when I use it, it's exfoliating my skin, but I never feel like it's totally stripping my skin so that it's super dry as soon as I get out of the shower and it like seizes up. It feels like it leaves a little something behind to help me out. This is the Vitamin C Gentle Daily Cleansing Paste from DermaE. This is kind of an exfoliator in a way. It's just a teeny tiny bit grainy, but it's much gentler than the Microdermabrasion Scrub. So I tend to use this as my second cleanse or maybe after one of my second cleanses every once in a while. Again, not very frequently. I'm not using it daily, although it is gentle enough to use daily, but I use it maybe when I feel like my skin is getting a little bit textured, but I don't want to use this for some reason because it hasn't been 10 days since I used it last, or I don't have time to mask afterwards or something. I just want to give my skin a little bit of a polish, but without going too hard. I'll use this. I also sometimes use this as a mud mask. It's got this kind of opaque, it's very pasty. I'm squeezing a little bit out so you can see. It's a thick paste. And it's got some clay in it, I think. It is marketed as something that can be used both as a cleansing paste and as a mud mask, and it works beautifully as just like a slightly polishing, brightening, clarifying mud mask that's also gentle. This is a great multi-purpose product from DermaE. It's the kind of thing that I wouldn't think to buy myself, but they've sent this to me a handful of times. I think this might actually be the third tube that DermaE has sent me in PR over the years, and I've used it up every single time. I really like having it. Sorry, I forgot to talk about the texture of the microdermabrasion scrub, but it's a sort of a dry paste. It's got little scrubby grains in it, and it feels very sandy, but they're suspended in some kind of quite occlusive, buttery feeling substance. It might be shea butter. It doesn't say on this container what it is, but you can kind of imagine, it's like if you mixed a stiff butter with a bunch of sand. That's what the texture feels like. So making my way through my nighttime routine. Those are the 6 products that are in my shower that I'm using. I'm using 2 or more of them every time I wash my face in the evening. The next step is always to go directly in with 1 pump of my Curology formula all over my face. And then I usually go directly in on top of that with some kind of watery moisturizer, like a watery essence. This type of product is also called like a hydrating toner or an ampule. I like products like this, sometimes a serum, like a watery serum. I like products like this because, did I already say serum? No, I said essence. I'm talking about products that are extremely lightweight, almost totally watery in consistency or sometimes milky, but very, very liquid. And they hydrate or moisturize the skin. Sometimes there are products like this that have actives in them like vitamin C, AHA, BHA. I don't use any of those right now because of the retinoid in my Curology treatment. I'm just looking for moisture. And I like products like this because they put moisture into the skin, but they sink into the skin completely. They soak in completely. So they add moisture, but without creating any kind of barrier that would prevent additional products on top of them from adding their moisture into the skin. I started using one that I had for a long time, and I've talked about this before. It's the Aromatica Vitalizing Rosemary Concentrated Essence. I got this from YesStyle. It was PR. YesStyle sent it to me, and it's nice, but I think it's like a single ingredient, like single extract or single ingredient watery essence. The bottle's very pretty. It's incredibly aesthetic and it smells good. It smells like rosemary. Yeah, it smells, it smells like you're cooking. For some people, I could see that being off-putting, but I like it. I find this to be a very effective watery essence and pretty easy to use. But as part of this skincare renaissance, I placed an order with my own money from the brand Make Beauty. I've been really curious about their skincare. One product in particular I've been really curious about, which we'll get to later in the video. But because I'm such a fan of watery essences, and in fact, I'm more of a fan of milky essences than I am of watery essences, because that's the case, I included the milky essence from Make Beauty in the order that I placed. So this is one of the products that I bought myself. It's the Make Beauty Micro Ferment Rice Essence Skin Prep Hydrating Liquid. The packaging of the Make Beauty products is very impressive. Sleek, satisfyingly chunky, modern feeling. It was really fun actually to unbox this order that I placed for myself. I think I might have kept some of the packaging to show you. Hold on. Yeah, I kept one box and I kept the packaging for the product that I'm currently talking about. It's just pretty. You know, it's well designed and had this cardboard sleeve holding it in and it's mirrored on the inside. I appreciate little touches like this. I bought 4 products from Make and I'll be reviewing them all in this video. There are 2 of them that I quite like, one of them that really disappointed me, and one that I think is just okay, has some good qualities. This is one of the 2 that I quite like. The price point for these Make products is kind of in the middle. I think that this might be around the $30 range, which is not cheap, not drugstore, but also not exorbitantly expensive. From some brands, products like this can be, you know, like $70, $80. That would have priced me out. This felt like a risk I was willing to take, $30-ish to try a product like this, a milky essence. I'll show you what it looks like. It's runny, drippy, very watery, but it has just, you know, a tiny bit of both visual and tactile substance, just a little bit of slippiness. That's the quality that I like in a milky essence that makes me prefer it over a watery essence. Just a tiny bit more oomph, a little bit more substance. Now, this isn't a situation where as soon as I started using it, I was like, my skin is transformed. The Make Beauty Micro Ricey Skin Prep Hydrating Ferment has taken 10 years off my face. You know, it's not like that. The thing that has been amazing about this for me though is that I like using it. I just find it in my hand a lot. The bottle, it's everything about it. The bottle is big. It's easy to, it's like the work of a moment to take the lid on and off. It's like it's magnetically attracted to my hand. So when I sit down at my vanity, even when I am kind of rushing and I'm not quite sure, I don't have a plan, or I don't have it, I'm not feeling zen and I don't have it in my mind to pamper my skin. I sit down and I'm like, okay, gotta get some moisture in this dry skin. Got out of the shower and I'm like, I gotta get to bed. I just grab that. The first thing I do, I'm just like, okay, definitely this. Grab it, put it on, pack it into my skin. And it feels like it takes a short time to go into my skin. It sinks in. It might sound dumb, but I think about these things, especially as a reviewer. The bottle design really matters to me. This, it's just harder. I love that this is glass. I love that it's not plastic except for the cap. It's just a little bit more awkward. It's smaller. It's harder to grab. It doesn't feel quite as satisfying. The cap is smaller, so it's just a little fussier getting it on and off. All of this isn't real problems. You know what I mean? It doesn't prevent me from using this, but it all adds up to ease of use being a thing that I appreciate about this. It's just friendly, it's inviting, it's very comfortable, and I find it to be incredibly useful. When I think about this, I think the best essence is one you're gonna use. Like the best skincare product is one that you're gonna use regularly. And by some mysterious alchemy that I've tried to unpack for you of packaging and texture and reliability and effectiveness on the skin and simplicity, by some mixture of all those things, I just find myself using this every single day, usually multiple times a day, usually morning and night, instead of other things like it. And to me, that's a win. My skin has changed a lot over the course of this experiment because I've been spending more time. I'm sure that this has something to do with it. I know that it's helping hydrate my skin, but it's not as though it's doing the heavy lifting. It's just executing its one role to perfection. When I have time, when I'm babying my skin, I use this between 3 and 5 times in a row. So I'll use in the evening, for example, the Curology formula all over my face, and then I'll immediately put some of this into my hand, pack it into my skin, and it kind of feels like I'm using the moisturization of it to push the Curology formula even further into my skin. And my skin has taken months and months and months to get used to the retinoid, and at this stage, it can totally handle that. Then I'll put another couple drops in, do it again, another couple drops and do it again. And I usually do at least 2. And when I feel like I'm doing the most, I go all the way up to 5. Most evenings after using one of these liquidy essences, the next step will be another moisturizer, one that's heavier than those, but not the heaviest. So these days, this role has been occupied by what I call a gel cream. Both of the products that I've been using in this role have been gel cream moisturizers. One is one that I've talked about a bunch before. It's the Madecassoside gel. I bought this myself. And the other one is from Make Beauty. It's the Succulent Skin Gel Cream Serum Weight Moisturizer. I also bought this myself. They're kind of similar. They have different ingredients, but they're both gel creams. I'll show them to you. This is the one from Make. Again, very exciting packaging. And that is what it looks like. A milky gel that has a little bit of body. And this is the one from Pew. And that's what it looks like. Very similar. They look the same. And you can see neither one of them is drippy. Neither one of them is falling off of my finger. They both have that kind of milky, translucent quality that is common in a gel cream moisturizer. But they feel pretty different. The Madecassoside gel cream from Pew is an incredibly thick, beefy product. And if you put on too much, kind of sticky, especially if it's the last step. The Succulent Skin Gel Cream from Make is really lightweight and it sinks right into the skin. Even on top of 5 layers of one of these watery or milky essences. And even with like a big handful of it, like 3 pumps, I'll put it all over my face and it'll just sink right into my skin. Almost to a fault. I almost wish that it had just a little bit more presence and would stick around a little bit more. I feel like for some people, that's probably a good thing, especially oily skinned people. That's like a really good quality in a product like this for some people. For me, it feels, it's come to feel over time like it might not be good value for money for me. Because of all of the products that I ordered from Make, this is the one that I'm going through the fastest. And it's because of that quality in it. I'll put a pump on my hand and pack it into my skin, and then it'll just sink in and disappear. And it feels good going on. And it's, again, so user-friendly. I love this pump. I love this cap. It's much easier to use than this product, so I prefer it in the moment. But then I end up using so much of it in any given skincare session because I'll put it on and it'll disappear, put it on, disappear, put it on, disappear. Sometimes I find myself putting like between 2 and 4 pumps of it onto my face, and I can just feel that I'm using it up too fast for how much it cost. This one, on the other hand, is so thick and sticky that sometimes I just don't feel like dealing with it. I find the best way to use the APU madecassoside gel is to just use a little bit, like way less than I think that I need, and sometimes even to emulsify it with like a little bit of a more liquidy thing so that it takes better to my skin and sinks in better rather than leaving a sticky layer on top. However, the effects of this one are undeniable. Back when I was just using one cream at night after the Curology formula, I would sometimes use this one in a thick layer, and I hated the experience of it because it would be really sticky on my skin. It would get all over my pillow, but then my skin would feel amazing in the morning. My skin just loves these madecassoside products from APU. So it's a little bit of a Goldilocks situation over here with these two products. They perform for me kind of the same function, but this one is like too thick and sticky, and this one is too lightweight and sinks into the skin too quickly. I would like something right in the middle. In fact, maybe I should just start mixing them together. This is the product from Make that I liked, but I didn't love. It's the one that sort of left me feeling a little lukewarm for all of the reasons that I've just shared. I think that what I would like to have in this role is the madecassoside gel cream, because this is a gel and it's much thicker and has a higher concentration, I think, of cica. So it's kind of like a heavyweight in its own way. The gel cream version of this formula is kind of like the in-between, the just about right. And once I've used up these two, I could see myself buying that and continuing to use it in this role. On many nights, I will just go straight into the last step of my evening routine, which is to put on a thick layer of some sort of cream moisturizer, the occlusive step. But sometimes if I'm really feeling like my skin is dry, or if I'm really feeling like doing the most, I'll put on an oil first. And these are the two oils that I'm currently using. There's one from Elemis, it's the Superfood Facial Oil, and one from Ren. Both of these were PR. This was sent to me from Elemis, and this was sent to me from Skin Store because of the promotion that they're running. They gave me a code, and I'll put that in the description box. I really, really like both of these oils. They're both quite lightweight. Also, for both of them, a little goes a long way. Just a teeny tiny drop, and I pat it into my skin. I used to be obsessed with facial oils because I have such dry skin, and then I started getting kind of some texture, and I started worrying that using so much oil was causing my pores to get clogged, and I kind of tapered off of using so many facial oils. Both of these I felt comfortable incorporating because they're so lightweight, and I haven't had that problem with either one of them. Just by trial and error, I can tell that my skin loves them. They're working really well for me. However, they're both really expensive, and they're both pretty much just extra layers of hydration and occlusion. They're not actives. There are a lot of less fancy, less expensive oils on the market. And I think in both of these cases, I wouldn't buy them with my own money. It's just because I have them, because they were sent to me for a review. I feel really lucky that I have them. And so once in a while, I'll sneak one of them into my evening routine as like a light layer of extra occlusion and extra hydration. But I don't feel like they're critical, especially not in my evening routine. The much more important to me part of my evening routine is this next category, which are these like barrier creams. And let's start with the one that I had the highest hopes for and that disappointed me the most. This is the product from Make Beauty that I just can't get along with. And it's the whole reason why I placed the order from Make, because it's a pretty recent release. It's called the Hibernation Capsule Overnight Recovery Balm. Sounds like it would be right up my alley. It's for putting on your skin while you sleep. It has the word balm in the title, which to me indicates that it's going to have some heft, and it's specifically for recovering the skin. overnight recovery hibernation balm, like hunkering down and getting your skin in better shape, which is exactly what I was trying to do when I placed this order. So I was like all about this. Everything else was only added as a second thought. And I just can't figure out why it is the way that it is. Here's what it looks like. I don't know how much information you'll be able to gather from this visual, but that's what it looks like. It's totally thick. It's like a pudding. It might be a texture thing for me. It is a texture thing, but it's everything. But texture is part of it. The texture is not at all what I expected. It's like a pudding in a lot of ways, like a really thick pudding that's so thick that it wouldn't fall out of the jar, right? The jar is more than half full. And I feel like I could hold it upside down like this all day and it wouldn't fall out. Like that's how thick it is, which does track with the name Balm, but it doesn't behave like a balm in any other way other than that. Here's the thing, when you touch it, it behaves kind of weird. So I push my finger on it and it doesn't really, like only a little bit sticks to my finger. It's almost like the surface of it is wet. Like there I just pushed this dry finger onto it and that almost none of it stuck. It didn't pick up on my finger, basically. It's almost like this set cream gel that has like moisture on it because of what it's made out of, like slime. It's like slime. Do you think they did that on purpose? I feel like it feels sort of like you think slime might feel. It's springy, spongy when you touch it. It sort of springs back and it doesn't readily transfer itself to your finger. Anyway, because of that, it's kind of hard to pick up. It's sort of slippery. So I'm like trying to pick it up and it's kind of hard to pick it up. But I got some, right? Got it on my hand, start rubbing it together to apply. And it doesn't feel balmy. It doesn't feel hefty. It feels like it's kind of melting away. It doesn't feel like a cream. It feels like there's a lot of water in it and it's a water-based product and the water has caused it to become quite thin on my hands. There is a kind of an occlusive layer left behind, but it just doesn't have the body that I'm looking for in a night cream and that I was expecting, especially from something called Overnight Recovery Balm. But all of that would be fine if it worked. And not only does it not work, but it makes my skin feel dry. This is something that I've sometimes in my reading of reviews of skincare on Sephora and stuff, I'll come across someone there will be like a super moisturizing overnight product or something, and someone will be like, this product actually made my skin feel dry. And whenever I read that, I'm like, maybe it didn't work for you, but there's no way that like a cream actively made your skin dry. I feel like there's something else maybe going on whenever I read a comment like that. But with this, it happened to me because here's what happens. It melts into sort of a watery thing. I put it all over my face. Sometimes I put a lot, like when I was trying to make it work, I've stopped trying, but at the beginning I would put quite a thick layer. It says, as the last step in your nighttime routine, apply a generous amount onto the face, neck, and chest. So I would do that. I would use like a lot. And I got to the point where I was getting really too much at once to try to make it work. And so I would try to get a thick layer, but because it kind of melts and becomes watery, it's hard. It's almost like it doesn't build on itself. So I would get it applied and then it would just dry out, not sink in, but minutes later, it's like the surface of my skin would feel sort of raspy because it had sort of dried out on my skin, even with all that other skincare underneath it. And at first I was like, well, maybe this is good. Maybe it's sort of setting almost like a mask on my face so that when I'm sleeping, it doesn't like transfer onto my pillow and stuff. And maybe this is on purpose and it's going to be good. But when I wake up the next morning, my skin feels dry. I'll wash it off and it'll feel dry underneath it. It just felt like it was sucking somehow, even in spite of being incredibly thin and watery, drying into this very thin layer and then sucking all of the moisture out of my skin while I slept. I continued to use it and continued to use it and continued to feel disgruntled because I was reviewing it. I'm reviewing it, and so and I think also it took me a while because I had been excited about it and because I had looked forward to a long time and really bought into the claims, and maybe because I'd bought it myself, which is one of the reasons that I'm glad that I'm starting to buy some more skincare. It took me a long time to realize that it was just doing the opposite of working for me. I just kept feeling frustrated, but I kept using it and kept using it. And then one day I was like, this is not working. This is bad. And I just stopped using it. I'm not going to finish the jar, which is very unusual for me. So here are the products that I have been using instead that I have really been enjoying, although this one, not as much. This is one of my old favorites, the Belief, the True Cream Moisturizing Balm. I used to go through tubs and tubs of this stuff back before my no-buy-year. And I bought this for myself when I was Christmas shopping in Sephora, and it was right about the time when this was starting to do me dirty, and I was like, I just need something. So I picked this up. It's like the small size of this because I started to think maybe I should be buying some of my own skincare to keep balance, and I remember it being so great. So I got it home, I started using it, a thick layer at night on top of everything else, blah, blah, blah. And it's pretty good, but it's not as good as I remember it. And it made me break out a little bit. It's almost like it was too occlusive for me. And I got a couple of little blemishes. One of them is still, I know you can't really, you see that dark spot right there? That popped up when I started using this. So I moved on to a couple of other things and I haven't really come back to it. I'll probably use less of it at a time, just like a little bit at a time, maybe in the gel cream position, because I think that the issue isn't necessarily the formula, but the fact that I was using so much at once because of its position in my routine. These two I love and I've gotten such good results from. I dug this back out and started using it again. It's the Extreme Moisture Balm for Parched Skin from Erin's Faces. Erin's Faces is a small independent brand. They make skincare and makeup, and in my experience, some really good products. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it's a dense cream, but it also has kind of a melty formula. When you start rubbing it in your hands, it does kind of melt and become a little bit more watery. It's unique. It's not a very heavy, runny, soggy cream like some of them are. It's the same as the Make Balm. It stays in the jar when you turn it upside down. It's really stuck in there, and it's really kind of like, it's like a cross between a cream and a paste. And it's also called a balm, and it's more balm-like than I think the one from Make actually is. It earns its name better than the one from Make. The difference though is that even though it melts away to something kind of thinner than you would expect on the hands, it goes on really nicely. It makes a good occlusive layer on the skin, and it stays moisturizing and it stays occlusive overnight. In fact, it surprises me how much it locks in the moisture given how lightweight it feels. I don't mind the feeling of lots of heavy layers of stuff on my skin at night, but I know that some people do. And I think that if you are looking for something that's really actively moisturizing and really good for dry skin, but you don't like layering a lot of stuff on your skin, you don't like having something thick on your face when you're sleeping, this might be worth your consideration when you run out of whatever you're using and you're actually in the market for something else. And this last one is another one that actually fits that same definition. This is the Ren Ever Calm Overnight Recovery Balm, and to me, this earns the title of Balm more than any of them. Skin Store sent this to me as PR, and I forgot to say that Erin sent this to me, Erin from Erin's Faces, so this was also PR, but I've purchased this before as a gift for my mother. She has dry skin and she really loves this product. Here's what the Ren one looks like. Much more of a balm, IMHO, than those other products because it really looks like a lip balm. And it feels like an oil, and it kind of performs like an oil. And I've been looking into this product, and I think that Ren actually recommends that you use it in the oil step in your routine. And I've been using it as the last step, like sealing everything in, and it's occlusive enough to do that, but not pore clogging at all. It's such a wonderful, it like melts just like a little bit on your hand. It looks like Vaseline, but doesn't feel like Vaseline at all because it immediately starts melting and becomes this like soft, lovely, hydrating, oil feeling thing that's not greasy. It's not even really oily. It's very hard to explain. It's like a melted balm is what it turns into when you put it on your hands. I find it makes a great last layer, but since learning that Ren kind of considers it to be an oil that you would layer under a moisturizer, I've actually been using it instead of either of these. So after the gel gel cream stage and before the night cream stage, I've been putting a thinner layer of this on, which I think will make it last longer, and then putting the Aaron's Faces one on top. And that has given me really good results. I like this because it's calming, definitely helping to lock in the moisture, and it's specifically for sensitive skin and redness prone skin, so I know it's not going to break me out, it's not going to irritate my skin. It's cosmetically elegant, it's interesting, it's a pleasure to apply. I'm really glad that I got the chance to test this because it's turned out to be one of my favorite skincare products that I've tried in a long time. And looking into it, I've learned that it's kind of a cult classic, and I'm not surprised that it has a following. It's a bit expensive, but it's a great product. I can't believe that that's how long it took to talk about the products that I use as part of my evening routine, but that takes care of it. And again, even though I know that that was a ton of products, it's not as though I'm using all of them on my face all at once. What I've been doing most nights is just after cleansing, Curology, one of the watery ones, one of the more lightweight ones, and then one of the heavier ones. I've been using like usually 2 to 4 of these different weights of moisturizing product, one on top of another. And that's really helped my skin a lot. At the end of the video, I'll tell you, maybe right now is when I should tell you what I've defaulted to for evening. My favorite combination, and I think cleansing you've seen is just like, all of the cleansers are working for me. It's not as though I have a favorite, but my favorite combination of these moisturizing products after the Curology has been the Make Beauty. Of what's here, it's actually probably the other Make Beauty product, even though I feel like I'm going through it too quickly. I'll do like several layers of the serum and then 2 or 3, often 2 or 3 layers of the gel, the Ren Balm instead of an oil, and then on top of that, the Aaron's Faces. These 4 together, that's what I've found myself using the most. And I find when I use these 4 together, the next morning when I wake up, that's when my skin tends to be its calmest, plumpest, and least red, actually. I think that the Ren one is helping with redness overnight. Okay, so that takes care of my nighttime routine completely, with the exception of a couple of eye care products that I'm saving for the end because I've been using them in a bit of a spotty way, and I feel like they're sort of extra to my routine. Sometimes I use them in the morning, sometimes I use them at night. The moisturizing products that I use on my skin, I'm also bringing them up around my eyes, and I feel like they are actually mostly what I'm using on my eyes, and these other products are just a little bit of a lark. Stay tuned. In the morning, I have a simpler routine. I get up, I rinse my face with warm water, towel dry, and then I've been going straight in every morning with this product. This is the Copper Amino Isolate Serum from Nyad. I purchased this with some of my channel's budget for self-sponsored review. So I didn't buy it with my own personal money, but it wasn't PR either. I chose it for a review. It's a weird product. It's blue. It's extremely watery. I mean, it's just water. It looks like blue. It looks and behaves like blue water, and it smells weird. It smells kind of vinegary, actually. Almost like some sort of weird art supply or like Easter egg dye. Thank you to all of you who informed me when I told you that I was going to be testing this, that they recommend that you don't use it at the same time as a retinoid. I don't think that it's like a dangerous thing to do, like it will hurt your skin, but apparently retinoids can kind of cancel out the effects of this. Like they keep it from doing its best. So I have started just using it in the mornings, and I only use the retinoid at night. And I think that that's the way to do it. It's a little bit difficult to comment on this because I've been using a bunch of other skincare products at the same time. And when I started using it, I was also dedicating much more time to the care of my skin. Again, I feel like spending time is kind of more important than spending money on your skin in a weird way. I mean, past a point, obviously you have to spend some money to get a few products, but what really matters is using them. So I got this. I'd never used it before or anything like it. And at the same time, I started putting more moisture into my skin, spending more time packing moisture into my skin, being more intentional about my routine, etc., etc. My skin has improved dramatically. Right now, it's the healthiest it's been in, I would say, over a year. I've noticed a difference. It's really awesome, and I'm feeling like so glad that I've been taking the time to take care of it. But because it's all happened at once, I can't say how much of that transformation is due to this product. What I can say is that almost everything else that I've been incorporating has been just hydration and moisture. Like that's what it's been for. This is the only thing I've added to my routine as part of this experiment that is active in some way, or is like doing something actively. And I don't know all of the details. I'll link it and you can check it out if you want to read about the science. I just know that copper aminos are supposed to be really great for the skin barrier and I think for anti-aging and just overall skin health. And I hadn't used them before, and I started using them with this experiment. I started using them with this product, and my skin is doing great, and it could be because of any number of things, and this is one of the things that could be contributing to that. I think it probably is contributing at the very least. So that's all I can say in terms of the effect of this. The thing that I can give definitive feedback on is the ease of use and the experience of using it. Like I said, it smells a little bit weird. It doesn't feel like other skincare products. It's a little bit weird. It feels kind of sciencey to be putting it on, but because it's so watery, it's really easy to use, especially first thing, because it just disappears right into the skin. So I put usually 6 or 7 drops on my skin, pat it into my face, pat it into my neck, and in less than a minute, it's like sunk in, disappeared, and I can layer other things on top with absolutely no issue. So it has worked its way elegantly into my routine. I definitely plan to use up the bottle. I like it. I have a good feeling about it, but I didn't test it in isolation. So that's the first thing that I put on my skin in the morning. And then I almost always go in again with one of these watery essences. I'm using one of the 2 of these almost always these days, this one, morning and night. One of my agendas with my morning skincare is that I don't want my skin to be too heavy with moisture when I'm done with it, because a lot of times I'm putting makeup on top and sometimes I'm testing like primers and things that I don't know how they're gonna act. And I feel like when I've got a lot of layers, when my skin is like super plumped with a bunch of layers of moisture and oil, it can be hard to tell whether the primers that I'm testing or the makeup that I'm testing is behaving the way it's behaving because of how it behaves or because I'm asking it to go on top of all this other stuff. And even just when I'm applying makeup that I know works well and that I already love, I don't really like applying it on top of a really like drenched face. So I want my skin to be protected, moisturized, and healthy, but I'm looking for a much lighter weight moisture in the mornings. So again, I like this because it's so lightweight. I like these. I like this type of thing because they're effective, but also very lightweight. And I usually kind of stop there and then kind of think about what I want to do next. On a day when I'm going to be testing, especially some sort of primer or testing a new sunscreen or some sort of hybrid primer, illuminator, base product, which I've been doing a lot of, I'll often just stop there because I feel like my skin is protected and moisturized, but bare enough, like the surface of it is bare enough to be a really good canvas for testing new products. On days when I know the products I'm going to be using really well, like I'm going in with the concealers that I know don't give me any trouble, or a sunscreen that I know doesn't pill or something like that, I'll often press a drop, just one little drop of oil into my skin on top of one of these, just to give a little added protection, and because I kind of like the way that makeup applies on top of oil. So for that, again, I'm using one of these days. I've kind of been defaulting to the one from Ren because I've been very impressed by Ren lately. This really made me start sitting up and taking notice of this skincare brand. I also really like this because it's an oil, but it's in a pump bottle. This little pump is a much less fussy delivery mechanism for any kind of product than an eyedropper. And one thing that's cool about this pump is that it only pumps out a tiny bit at a time. I'm prone to go overboard with a pump and with a thing like this, but you can just push it down and get just a tiny, like it'll pump out the equivalent of 1 drop from a dropper. I was a little concerned about the pump before I started using it, and now that I'm using it, total respect for this product. Although I think it is very expensive. This was another one, I think I mentioned this already, but this skin store sent this to me as part of their current campaign. I can't see myself buying it for like $70, but I am really excited to have it. So that's usually it for the morning. The copper amino isolate serum, a watery or milky essence, and then sometimes a tiny bit of oil. And actually, because there are so many fewer products in that category, it doesn't really make sense to tell you what my preferred routine has been. Or maybe you can tell already, it's just this, and this, the oil, the Ren oil. It's like these three that I've been defaulting to the most. Now I'm going to tell you about some sort of specialty or occasional products that I've been using and testing. So I have some eye treatments, I have a couple of masks, and I have a couple of lip balm things. Let's talk about the eye treatments first. So two of them are from City Beauty. I got a PR package from City Beauty with a whole bunch of things in it, and I have been testing most of them. Actually, there's another eye thing that's in there that I've been testing, the City Lash Serum for brows and eyelashes. I can't tell yet whether this is having an effect. I think for this kind of thing, you have to use it for a long time before you can definitively say if it's actually working. But what I will say about it is that it doesn't sting my eyes and it's easy to apply. It has this sort of curved applicator. It's not a brush, it's like a curved silicone applicator. The curved shape of it makes it easy to press it along the lash line and deposit the growth serum right where you need it to go. I'm also putting it in my brows. I'll report back. But so far I've been kind of impressed by City Beauty. It does seem like the products kind of do what they say. And actually all of what I just said is true of these two. I don't feel like I've been using them long enough to be able to really report back. And maybe I should have thought about that before I put them in this video, but I've been using them, so I'm just telling you about them. What I can tell you about is like the consistency, the experience of using them, etc. So it's the under eye recovery treatment and the lid lifting treatment. The under eye recovery treatment is in this bigger tube. It has a little pump underneath the cap, and it's a slightly more watery, liquidy, serum-y cream. It's like quite thin, watery cream. I like all of those things about it, and I find myself willingly incorporating it into my evening and morning routines because it's so easy to dispense and it soaks in so quickly. A little bit goes a long way. It's very pleasant. Again, the best eye cream is one that you're going to use for whatever reason. This is making me use it. Because of that, I like it. I prefer it to the other one, which is supposed to be kind of like a heavy duty eyelid lifting thing. Unlike the other one, it's a squeezy tube with this little needle nose dispenser. And unlike the other one, it's a very thick paste. So you can see there's a pearl of it on my finger. It's a much thicker paste. It has much more resistance when I rub my fingers together. It's almost as though it's sticky. It isn't though. It's not sticky at all. And I never experience that sort of stuck feeling when I open and close my eyelids when it's on them. It's just not as cosmetically elegant, less easy to apply, and therefore I find myself skipping it more often. I actually feel like those are quite relevant reviews on these products because I'm sure that they do something. Everything about this brand points to the science being pretty good. I don't know. I mean, this is not going to like give you new eyes overnight or like, give you plastic surgery, non-invasive plastic surgery or something, but I do think they're probably helping. That's kind of as far as I buy into a thing like this. I'm not going to be like, this transformed my eyelids, So given that that's as far as I buy into it, and given that I think that these are pretty good products, what really, really matters to me is cosmetic elegance and ease of use. And in this case, I have that in the under eye recovery one, and I don't find that with the lid lifting treatment. The other eye thing that I have is this. It's the Beautiful Eye Balm from Kjaer Weis. Kind of into balms right now of every kind, and I kind of feel like balms are trending in skincare. Is it just me? This is a very pretty, very luxurious skincare product. The packaging is so beautiful, and it's a super thick balm. This, like the Ren one, earns the name of Balm, but it's much less slippy than the one from Ren. And it's hard to get my finger in. I always have to dig it out using like the top of my nail, like that. This really feels like some sort of lip balm, but maybe a little bit meltier and more lightweight than that. It's solid when you take it out. It melts in your fingers. Sometimes it can feel a little grainy when it's melting, but it's not a grainy product. I think that when it's super cold and it's not melting quickly, it can kind of feel grainy. And it just melts away to a nice, thin, occlusive balm. I usually just do that and then tap it underneath my eyes. I like how it smells. It's very earthy, comforting feeling, and I also use it on my lips. I'm finding myself using this because of the luxurious experience and not because I feel like it's doing amazing things for my eyes. Sometimes when I'm really doing the most with skincare, I'm like, now I'm going to finish off my routine with a Kjaer Weis beautiful balm, beautiful eye balm. It's a moment when I use it. It's very romantic in a way. I think this has a lot of like skin loving oils and waxes in it. And I think probably the best thing it's doing is locking in moisture and giving me a pleasurable experience in terms of scent and texture. I think that's most of what it's doing. So it gets a stamp of approval from me for all of those things, but it's not something that I would buy. It too is very expensive. If I were going to buy something like this, I would buy the one from the brand that's like, our products are pumped full of science and they're doing a lot. But I'm not mad at it. I've actually found when I first opened it, I was like, this is going to be kind of fussy and it's not going to be for me. But I've actually found myself using it more than I expected to. Okay, let's talk about masks quickly. One mask I've already used up and I think it's in my empties. Yes, I loved this. So this was a little mini of the Antipodes Aura Manuka Honey Mask. I bought this with my channel's budget for self-sponsored review. I bought it as part of my Beauty Bay haul and I loved it. It's very thin. It smells good. Maybe a little bit lemony, but also a tiny bit floral. It smells really good. And because it's thin, a little bit goes quite a long way on the face, but it's very occlusive and even with just a little thin layer on the face, it really, really, really works. I loved using this product. So I would put it on in the bath or sometimes after getting out of the shower in the evenings, I would put it on for 20 or 30 minutes, then wipe it or rinse it off and then go in with the rest of my skincare. And I really felt like it moisturized my skin. In fact, it was after kind of kicking into high gear with more skincare steps and starting to use this product, I noticed that the fine line, the like crow's feet around this part of my face just looked a little bit shallower. It just started to look like my skin had more hydration from the inside out. And again, I've been doing all of this at once, so it's not like you can chalk it up to any one thing, but I felt like the masking was contributing to that significantly because I was just spending, when I hadn't masked in forever, I've just been over here doing the bare minimum. And so going from that to spending like 30 to 45 minutes a day, a couple of days a week with like a layer of something really nourishing sitting on the skin, just like pumping itself into the skin, there's something to be said for it. I'm still not in favor of spending the exorbitant amounts of money on masks that I used to spend before my no-buy-year, but I feel like I'm coming around to sort of a middle position. There's something to be said for it. So I used this up, really loved it, but I had already tested it. I wanted something like it and I was tempted to just buy it again because I liked it so much, but because I knew I was preparing for this video and because I test things on YouTube, I decided to buy something that is available at Sephora that seems like a version of the same thing by a different brand. It's this, the Like Butter mask from Topicals Skincare. And again, I bought this with my own money. This wasn't with my channel's budget for self-sponsored review. I bought this for myself because I wanted something like it. And it is indeed really similar to this Antipodes mask. It's also very thin, kind of watery, simple in its way. Like look how I just took the lid off and because I'd been squeezing it. I don't know if you guys saw that. It might have been down here, but it like dribbled out. It's almost like syrupy. It sort of dribbled out. It's syrupy and thin, but it's again, really, really occlusive. So a little bit goes quite a long way. And I like the feeling of it on the skin. It's supposed to be great for sensitive skin with eczema, dry, rough, red skin, that kind of thing. And I totally understand why it's marketed as being all of those things. There's one thing that I don't really love about this, and that is that it dries and it kind of dries into sort of a pasty layer, kind of like the Make Beauty thing that I didn't like does. However, I don't feel, when this dries on my skin, I do feel like it's kind of locking in moisture. I don't feel like it's sucking moisture out of my skin the way that I felt about the one from Make Beauty. It's just not as comfortable and I don't quite feel like I'm getting the same supercharged moisture injection from my skin from like sitting around for 45 minutes doing work with this on my skin. When I did that with this, I felt like the entire 45 minutes was beneficial for my skin and that if I kept it on my skin for 2 hours, it would be amazing. With this, I kind of feel like after it dries, maybe another 5 or 10 minutes, but then I'm just like, why? It doesn't feel like it's really doing all that much anymore. It's to me not as cosmetically elegant as other thin cream masks that I've tried. But when I wash it off, my skin does feel hydrated I think that my skin likes it. I just don't like using it as much as the first one that I recently tried that's kind of like it. I'd say that it gets an okay from me. I had a friend recently ask me about a moisturizing mask, and I didn't recommend this one to her. Even though I've been trying it and I do think that it works, I recommended this one to her. So those are the masks that I've been testing. And finally, I have these two kind of like overnight lip treatment balm things to tell you about. One is from Make. It's the Make Beauty Serum Balm. I feel like it's kind of their hero product. And the other one is from Versed, which is a drugstore brand. It's the Silk Slip Conditioning Lip Oil. Here they are. Both of these come in stronger colors, so they're kind of like skincare makeup hybrids, but I have the most basic, clearest version of both of them. From Make, in the Serum Balm, it's the shade Halo Moon. It looks like it might be some sort of iridescent pink on the website, but it's actually just clear. The Versed Silk Slip Conditioning Lip Oil, it comes in like a red and a pink, and this is just the clear one. Here's how they both look, and these are the dispensing mechanisms of these two products. I love both of them. I really like this huge, juicy doe foot applicator on the Serum Balm from Make. It smells like skincare. And it sort of tastes like skincare. It feels really skincare-y, but I think that it's a little bit sweetened as well. So when I taste it, when I put it on my lips and it gets into my mouth, it tastes a little bit like I put my moisturizer on my lips and I'm tasting it, but it also tastes sweet a little bit. It took me, I was about to say it took me a little getting used to. It's not quite that. It's that it's sort of a unique experience among lip balms. It took me by surprise a little bit, and I'm not obsessed with it, but it doesn't make me uncomfortable or anything. It's not something I dislike about this product, but it maybe is worth noting because it's sort of distinct. The lip gloss I was wearing has kind of worn off as I've spent 2 hours talking about skincare, so I'm going to apply this right now so you can see what it looks like. I mean, it looks like a clear lip balm. You know what I mean? It looks like nothing, but it's a good layer. It's put a good layer on there, and it's just, I feel like it looks glossy enough to work with a daytime look or to work with makeup, but it feels like its primary work is skincare. And I feel like I have a handful of glosses and gloss oils that are also nourishing for the skin, but I find that when it's nighttime and I have a face full of skincare and I just want to add a little something extra to my lips, I'm not reaching for them because really at the end of the day, they're makeup. And these two products are the other way around. I'll wear them during the day, and I do a lot. I wear both of these during the day a lot, even with makeup, even as part of a makeup look. But to me, they're skincare. And so I'm just as happy or more happy to slather them on at the end of my skincare routine, or on a day when I'm just wearing skincare all day and I'm not going to see anyone or, present my face to anyone. And they're both skincare enough and mild enough that I feel like I can slather them outside of the lip line onto my skin. I feel like they're doing good things for the vermilion border as well as the skin of my lips. And they're clear enough and sheer enough that they don't look weird when I put them outside the lip line and basically get them onto my face. I also love how chunky and beefy this component is, the one from Make. I was expecting it to be smaller based on the pictures, and it really took me by surprise when I opened it. I was like, wow, this is a whole thing. It feels very luxe to use, and to me, this is like the fancy one of these two. However, I think I might be slightly more impressed by the formula of the Versed Silk Slip Conditioning Lip Oil because it's so tenacious. It's lovely and slippery. It's not sticky at all. It's definitely like a solid, clear oil type product. I love how nourishing it feels, and it's there forever. Like I'll put it on at night and it'll be there. I'll still feel it on my lips in the morning, or I'll put it on in the morning and I'll still feel it on my lips when I go to eat lunch. This one is a little bit more lightweight, a little bit more watery. It definitely feels more water-based, and the one from Versed feels more oil-based. That's like a huge difference. Because of that, the one from Versed, it just has this amazing longevity, but I find myself using the one from Make more because I like the experience and I like the component more. I wish that this formula came in this component, but as it is, I'm not complaining. These are two fantastic products. They both do the job beautifully. Top of the line, in my opinion, both of them. And I'm happy to be able to let you know about a more luxe version and a drugstore version. Holy bananas, that is it. And I am just out of my mind from doing this. I didn't realize it was going to be such a mammoth task. I have been powering through and staying focused on delivering all the information, and now I feel like I barely know who I am anymore. I'm spent, y'all. I'm spent. So I'm having a little bit of a hard time gathering myself together and remembering if there was anything that I needed to tell you at the end. I originally said that I was going to kind of let you know what my conclusions have been from testing all of these, but I feel like I let you know as I was going through what those are. Should we revisit it really quickly just to make sure it doesn't slip through? Maybe it would be fun to say that if I had to build a routine from these products with just one in every category, what routine would I build? And I think that I'm going to do it kind of irrespective of price, just talking about the products that I'm enjoying the most. So this is what that would be. If you're like, this video is too long, girl, we don't need another recap because you've already recapped 3 times, then that's fine. Goodbye. It's okay. You can go. We're done. But if you want to hear this last little thing, then here we go. I would first cleanse with the Elemis Balm. I think I might second cleanse with the Kale and green tea cleanser from Youth to the People. The two cleansers are neck and neck, but I always feel very fresh when using this one. And because it's a tiny bit more stripping, I feel like it's a little bit more reliable for getting every last bit of eye makeup off of my face. I love the Derma E Microdermabrasion Scrub, and I feel like being able to remove those dead skin cells from the surface of my skin a couple of times a month has been one of the things that's contributed to my skin feeling a lot better. So I would definitely keep it in the routine. The Curology formula, of course. For a liquidy essence, the one from Make. For a gel cream, I'm gonna just leave out both of the ones that I talked about today because, again, one's too thin and one's too thick. I wouldn't pick either of them. The Ren Balm is definitely my nighttime oil of choice. And then the Erin's Faces is my nighttime moisturizer of choice. For daytime, definitely the Niod Copper Amino Isolate Serum, the Make Beauty Essence again in the daytime. And then I'm gonna leave out oils again for the daytime because I'm talking about kind of my most pared down routine, the products that I'm the most into. So when it comes to just a pared down morning and evening routine, that's it. Those products are the superstars. Then for eyes, I would say of all of them, the City Beauty Under Eye Recovery Cream. For masking, I'd pick the Antipodes mask. And for lips, it's tough, but I'm actually going to say the one from Make Beauty because in spite of myself, I use it more, even though I like the formula of the Versed one better. They really nailed the user experience at Make. Really. I feel like brands are always trying to get it right in terms of how user-friendly the packaging is. There's something about these products from Make. They make me use them. You see what I did there? Accidentally. They make me use them. And in a situation like mine, where there are a handful of products competing for each step in my routine, that makes a difference. So I see what you did there, Make, and respect. Goodness gracious, y'all, we're done. I hope that this was enjoyable in some way and enlightening. I really hope that the information was organized enough for you. I feel like I just leapt into it. I was like, I'm gonna go through these products one by one. And then when I got into the weeds, I was like, wow, this is a lot of information. And I'm not sure that it was as organized as it could have been or maybe should have been. I hope that it was though. And I'll put as much information in the description box for you as I can to help you wrap your head around it if you need to. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being subscribed. If you're subscribed to my channel, I just love you all so much for being here. And I really, really hope you're taking extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.